Hey guys, it's me again, and I don't really know how to start this video, but I thought I would try something new on this channel, which I've never done before, obviously. And it's about it's just me talking my opinions about a certain thing I enjoyed or I didn't enjoy. I had a discussion with my friend, and he said I should give it a try. Just me talking about things, like especially during Invincible, when I was telling him things I didn't like about the show and things I did like. He just said you should try to you should try just making videos talking about this type of stuff. And here I am, and my first video of doing that, I've chosen to do 2021's The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. And before we start, I just wanted to let you guys know some background of why this movie, how I feel, why this movie got me, why I was looking forward to this movie, and where I'm coming from. So, I'm a huge DC Comics fan and a huge comic fan in general. I love both DC and Marvel, but I've always had that soft spot for DC, and I've always been a huge fan of the Suicide Squad. Back when the 2016 movie came out, I was really looking forward to that because I really thought this like Suicide Squad was one of the things I really loved reading in the comics. Um, and I was really excited to see that there was a movie coming back in 2016, only to find out it was absolute trash. And it was kind of back when everyone was getting hyped that DC was gonna try doing their own cinematic universe. And after coming after Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel, it wasn't looking good. So we were all hoping that the Suicide Squad would have been the movie to lift DC out of the hole that it dug itself into with Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. And so when the movie came out, and everyone knows it was dog shit, and it's a shame considering what we've seen with the Snyder Cut compared to Justice League. When Justice League came out, we were all all my friends, we all went to go see it, and it was boring. Like it was so cringy, it was unfunny, it was so disappointing, and and the worst part, we went to go see it on my friend's birthday. It was basically just a thing we went to go see at birthday, hoping that it would be good. We were just hoping it would be bloody good, but it wasn't. And then here we are now, 2021. The Snyder Cut finally releases, and it's amazing. The Snyder Cut was one of my favorite, is possibly my favorite superhero movie, tied with maybe the Suicide Squad. And I can't really get it out. That I'd probably have to make my own another video on the Snyder Cut, since we'd be here for hours. We probably will be here for hours with the Suicide Squad talk. But yeah, the Snyder Cut made me think, what if David Ayer's cut, what would David Ayer's cut would have been like if it released back in 2016? And that's something we will probably never know, because Warner Brothers are a bunch of stuck-up assholes. But yeah, so let's get into the Suicide Squad, because I feel like I've been rambling on for too long. So the Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, was a movie I was somewhat looking forward to, because as a fan of the Suicide Squad in the comics, I was really hoping that this time they would get it done right, especially since they got James fucking Gunn on board. The same guy that did the first two Guardians movies. Nobody fucking knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before James Gunn. Except for hardcore, diehard comic fans. Let's be honest. Let's bloody be honest. But when I heard that he was on board for this Suicide Squad, I was excited, because both Guardians of the Galaxy movies were incredibly entertaining, and I could not wait to see what James Gunn had in store for the Suicide Squad. And lo and behold, like when I heard the fucking rumors of who was being in the movie, who was what, I was nervous, because I was afraid people there is an extent where the average viewer will take seriously, and James Gunn got like the most ridiculous, obscure characters. Like he got Bloodsport, which only diehard Superman fans know. And I had some knowledge of Bloodsport at the time, but I didn't know a lot. I just know that he was a rogue of Superman. And they also got TDK, who is a version of another character whose name I don't remember. They also had Blackguard. I don't remember where he appeared in, and they had Javelin, and and fucking Weasel and Polka Dot Man. And Polka Dot Man was somebody I was familiar with. I just couldn't believe it because it was fucking Polka Dot Man, a villain from the Silver Age of Batman. That's something you never expected. The only guy that came back from that era was Kite Man, but even they revamped the hell out of Kite Man's origin, and they made Kite Man one of the most entertaining characters. So I was so stunned to see Polka Dot Man revealed for for the character list in the Suicide Squad. And as the months go by, and then the trailers come out, I start to get excited, and I'm looking at the costumes, and I'm like, oh my god, these are comic book costumes. Like, Peacemaker looks straight out of his comic book. Polka Dot Man, not exactly, but it does look like a good modernization of his because it's still ridiculous, but he's missing like he's missing the spandex thing, and he's ditching for more like a jumpsuit like thing. And I like the goggles. The goggles, like, I like how they did the goggles rather than like the domino mask hybrid goggle thing that they had. And for Bloodsport, I don't think it was comic accurate, but man, it's such a cool design because he literally has the head of a xenomorph as his mask. That is so cool. And honestly, it's a massive improvement from Bloodsport's original costume, which it was just a bandana and a tank top. And that was the original Bloodsport, which is Robert Dubois, which is the version that's in the movie. But there was also another guy called Trent. I don't remember his first name, but he basically looked like a Ku Klux Klan member, which is ironic considering the first Bloodsport is a black man. So why would a guy looking like a Klansman be taking a black man's identity? Like, that makes no sense. But but back to topic. So seeing all these obscure characters was so fucking insane, and I was but I was also disappointed knowing that Deadshot wouldn't be back, because Deadshot was one of my favorite characters in the Suicide Squad comics. Not the movie. The movie, I mean, Deadshot wasn't even in that movie. It was Will Smith in that movie. But so we're in August now, and the movie has been released 2 days ago, actually 3 days ago, and all I gotta say is, wow, James Gunn has done it again. He has bloody done it again, and I just can't fathom it in words. Just, it was so much fun to watch. I just don't know. It was so unapologetically comic bookish. It was a comic book movie. It wasn't ashamed of its origins, like how Marvel is sometimes with Thor, like how they don't want him having the helmet or any of that stuff. Like, it was, or how the 2003 Daredevil changed Bullseye's costume. Like, it just embraced the fucking craziness of comics. Like, come on, Bloodsport, the weapons he has, straight out of a fucking comic book. They're so ridiculous that it's awesome. Like, he's got a tiny fucking gun. He's got like all these guns that turn into one gun and shit, and it's just that he combines into one gun, and then it's got like the spinning barrel, like, and he's got like it's so unapologetically comic booky, and that's why I love it, because it's not ashamed of its history, and I love that. Like, it's a movie for comic book fans, and I love it. And the humor was way better than the first Suicide Squad, and the characterization of the characters was great. A lot of the costumes were great. The fucking the set was great, and the soundtrack was great as well. And before we get into deeper, I just wanted to say, the actress for Ratcatcher, Daniela, I forgot the last name, did a phenomenal job. Honestly, she was the heart of the movie. She was like Ray Fisher in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I am so happy about that. And I don't really know where to begin. So the movie starts with Michael Rooker's character, a Savant, just playing around with a ball, and he ends up murdering a little bird with it, and he's conscripted by Amanda Waller and shit, and then there's a scene where he reunites with the rest of the squad with Captain Boomerang, Mongal, uh, Javelin, Blackguard, I think his name is. I don't remember. TDK. Harley arrives in later, and there's some banter between her and Captain Boomerang, hinting that the 2016 movie possibly still did happen. So it's possible the DCEU is still a thing, which is kind of exciting. Which, because I really do want a DC equivalent of the MCU. And they even get fucking Weasel, who was obscure. I forgot to mention Weasel, which is so weird though. Who was portrayed by Sean Gunn. They didn't really care much for Weasel, but so they all arrive on the helicopter, and it makes you think that it's going to be from the perspective of Michael Rooker. And so the movie had them, they're on the beach, and then Blackguard gets up and he sells everyone out. He sold everyone out. And so there's like all soldiers. Oh, I forgot to mention that the island they went to is a country, a fictional country from the DC Comics universe, called Corto Maltese, which plays a huge part in the Suicide Squad's lore, because I believe that was their first mission in the comics. I don't remember though. But so Blackguard just like sells everyone out, tells them that they're all right behind me, and all the soldiers end up turning on him and they gun him fucking down. He's the first guy to die, and then everyone else is kind of freaking the fuck out. And then Harley gets a bazooka, shoots the fucking people, like no fucks given, and then all hell breaks loose. Captain Boomerang is trying to throw his boomerangs. Nathan Fillion's character TDK uses power, starts slapping the shell people with his arms. He's more like annoying them rather than actually killing them, which is hilarious. And Javelin gets gunned the fuck down. Oh, I forgot to mention, like Javelin was kind of flirting with Harley earlier because of his accent, and so like basically everything's going to hell right now. And so Mongal grabs onto the helicopter, starts killing people, and it actually gets Captain Boomerang killed because he gets lit up with shrapnel, and then the helicopter ends up chopping him the piece that Mongal was holding on to, and Mongal dies from burning, and it's just like, what the hell? And then it's just Rick Flag is like is gone MIA. We don't know if he died at that point, and Harley is presumed dead, and the only guy standing is Michael Rooker's character Sam, and he starts screaming, like it shows him as the tough guy. He's like, oh yeah, he's tough and all this shit, and then he fucking runs after that, like after seeing everyone die, and he starts screaming and starts shooting back, like he's like, oh no, and then Amanda Waller is like saying, go the fuck back or I'm blowing your fucking head off, and he's still running because he's scared for his life and shit, and so and so he's still running even though and Amanda Waller then chooses to blow his fucking head off, and that's when our expectations are fucked with, because I was thinking he was gonna be the main lead from the opening scene. I thought, oh, is this guy gonna be our lead? Like, are we following Michael Rooker? And only for the movie to be like, nope, he's dead now. The back of his skull is blown the fuck open, and then a bird, a yellow bird, another yellow bird, like similar to the one he killed, starts eating his corpse. And that's when we find out that Amanda Waller basically set up Rick Flag's team as a diversion for Bloodsport's team, which was a big what the fuck moment, because I didn't think there's gonna be two Suicide Squads. And so Bloodsport's team consists of Polka Dot Man, King Shark, Ratcatcher, Peacemaker, and himself. And here was the point where I was like, oh my god, I don't even know where the movie's gonna go on. Because at that point, I thought, well, no, I didn't think Harley was dead, because she was obviously in the fucking trailers, but the thing is, though, we also got a flashback scene, which also made me think, maybe it's possible she did die, but because there are flashback scenes in the movie, so it could have been possible that the scene that happened with, like, all the scenes that happened with Harley that weren't in the beach scene were how do you say, possibly flashbacks. So I was not sure where this movie was going to take us. So this movie really subverted my expectations in the good way. It was not the Ryan Johnson way, but so their characters arrive on the island, and they start, and basically John Cena's character Peacemaker and Idris Elba's character Bloodsport have a kind of rivalry thing going on, because there's a running joke where Amanda Waller describes them the exact same way because their skill set is so goddamn similar, and it was so entertaining to see how redundant that was. And I can't help but feel, what if Deadshot was in this movie? Because oh my god, then there would have been like 3 characters, which is probably why they didn't include him. Which is, I hope they do save him for another movie and stuff, and I hope another Suicide Squad gets made. But so yeah, they're kind of bickering, and John Cena's character is not really happy about Bloodsport's character, Bloodsport being the team leader. He's not very happy about that, because Bloodsport's a mercenary, while Peacemaker claims to be, he kills for peace. Like he claims to be fighting for a good cause, which Idris Elba's character retaliates for saying, "I swear, liberty is just an excuse for you to do whatever the hell you want," because Peacemaker is absolutely deranged. Like, he will kill anybody for peace. He will kill children, women, anybody. Everyone's free real estate. He even goes to a point where he will eat dicks off the beach for liberty, and that kind of like makes you think what kind of character he is. Like, he's literally just a douchey Captain America, the way he was described by John Cena in the interview material. But so they start to camp out. And then Ratcatcher, who is kind of like the sleepy girl, like she tends to sleep a lot. So Nanaue, King Shark is about to eat her, and then Bloodsport sees that shit and starts shooting her with all his fucking guns and shit. Starts shooting it, and then they all wake up, and then stuff happens, and then she's thinking about making all the rats eat King Shark, and then later, like, Amanda was like, no, and then later she asks him, King Shark, if he would eat his friends, and he replies, he replies reluctantly no, and then they offer friendship, and then that kind of like calms him down, so he doesn't try to eat them after that. And it was kind of nice to see them kind of going somewhere, and it does, and that fact does end up playing a role in the movie. And so I like, before we continue on the plot, I just want to say I loved the costumes in the movie. The costumes were really good, honestly. Bloodsport's new costume is really nice, because they took heavy inspiration for his mask from the Xenomorph, and I am all for it. It looks really good, it looks badass, it's distinct, and I'm glad that they adapted that into the comics. It's the one time I actually like that they adapt stuff from the movies into the comics. I normally hate that kind of shit, but this time I love it. And oh fuck, I died. But and I also, another costume I really loved was Harley's costume. I loved how they strayed away from the garbage they put her in the first Suicide Squad movie. That was a terrible costume. I hate that costume. And it's not because it's skimpy, but it's just stupid, because I'm the guy that loves the classic Harley Quinn costume. That is honestly still my favorite costume, and I don't care what anybody says. The classic red and black leotard is my favorite costume. Don't care what you say. And though it's not exactly that, I do still like it, because because it still has a callback to it. She's wearing a nice leather jacket that's black and red, and then some pants that are black and red, and some goggles, and that just does it for me. I like it because it still is Harley, but it's not the overwhelmingly sluttiness Harley, or the over exaggerated Harley Quinn style costume. And I am willing to have that over anything else. That is my favorite live action Harley Quinn costume as of the moment. And Polka Dot Man's costume, oh my god, I love it. It's so ridiculous, but it's the good kind of ridiculous. You just love it for how stupid it is. Like, it's Polka Dot Man. A man that hasn't shown up from the 60s. Oh my god. And John Cena's Peacemaker, I loved it. It looks so great. It looks like it was peeled off the comics. It looks straight from the comics, and I love that. I love that about this movie, is that some of the costumes in this feel like they were just peeled off from the comics. I love that so much. Peacemaker looks so good. I just wish they would have given him the white eyes, just like his comic incarnation, which they won't do because they haven't done it for Batman. But a man can dream. But so after that, they get contacted by Amanda Waller about Rick Flag and stuff, and then they find the camp he's being held in, and it turns out, I mean, they start killing everybody. Before I get carried on, they kill everybody there, and John Cena, his character, and Bloodsport are having like this dick measuring contest where who is better, because Amanda Waller has described them very similarly, and so they're trying to one up each other, and so they all have like these ridiculous gadgets. Bloodsport has like this little slingshot that shoots like small little arrows that kill people and stuff. While John Cena's got like he's got these two big ass handguns, a blow dart gun, and he's also got combustion bullets. So he shoots a guy. There's a scene where he shoots a guy and it does nothing, and it blows him to fucking pieces after that. And it's like, what the fuck? That is so comic booky, and I love it so much because it is so comic books, and I love it. And another Bloodsport, his entire suit is stacked with guns on his chest. He's got like these two little blasters, and on the and he's got these like the slingshot things. Like I said, he's also got a lot of nanotech guns like on his back area. Like honestly, I can't remember all the guns, but he just has a fuck ton on his suit. Basically, they make up his suit pretty much, and it is, and I love it so much because how ridiculous it is, and it was unfortunate not to see Harley's mallet again. Harley didn't really, only had a bazooka, and that's really it. Polka Dot Man though, oh my god though, like they actually kind of make you feel bad for his character, but I'll get into that after the scene. So they kill everyone in the camp while they're all having like just dicking around. While Bloodsport and Peacemaker are dicking around, and so it turns out that Rick Flag is actually just having a conversation with them, because it turns out these are the rebels of the country's country's resistance, trying to overthrow the dictatorship, which I forgot to mention, which I apologize about the mission and stuff. I apologize about that. I've just been getting carried away. So before we carry on that, so the reason why Amanda Waller sent them there is because there's something called the Corto Maltesian government has this thing called Jotunheim, which was a Nazi base in the Second World War, which they were allowed to build on the South American country and stuff. And so they had something called Project Starfish going on, and so Amanda Waller wants them to go investigate in there, and she sends a squad, a Bloodsport squad, to go to kill the dictator that recently overthrew the royal family, and to destroy the Jotunheim building and find out what Project Starfish was, and yeah, that's why they're there in that island. And so yeah, like back to the camp scene. So Rick Flag turns out to be okay and buddy with them, and then they try to cover up the fact that they literally just killed the entire resistance group to the leader and shit, and they're like, God damn it, you killed, and she's like, you killed all my family and stuff and all that shit. And I'm like, whoa, fuck, man. And then they're like, oh well, fuck, we fucked up, boys. And then they make a joke about Americans. You're glad to kill anybody else. And so stuff happens, and then Rick Flag is saying that they promise that they could use their help and stuff. It's not their mission to help their people. Bloodsport chimes in, but Rick Flag says, so they agree to. She agrees to help Rick Flag. I don't remember the exact reason why, but then so there's this part where they get in contact with this character called Milton, who actually ends up chilling with the squad for a bit, and so and so Milton is okay, and Milton is at as a checkpoint with a bunch of soldiers and stuff, and then he's about to get caught, and then the Suicide Squad intervenes along with some of the remaining guerrilla fighters and the leader, and and she says that he'll get you in, and if you get caught, there's nothing we can do. And Rick Flag says, if we get all their attention, there's gonna be no one left to protect the generals. So he's basically saying, he's basically telling her to take the opportunity, because he does want to help her. Because Rick Flag is a good man. He's a good man. He does care about people. Like he's like the true. He's like the true American soldier. Like not like the whole like my country above everything else. He really does give a shit about people. And so she smiles and says that he's a good man. And they head into the city to find Peter Capaldi's character, the Thinker. And he hangs out at the strip club and shit, and it leads to one of the funniest scenes ever, where they all get drunk, and Polka Dot Man's there and stuff. King Shark's winning in the van, unfortunately, because he would attract too much attention. And so they're all having a good time, and Bloodsport's like, one beer, and the judge is like, oh, well, you can be that guy, one beer, and it's like, and then Bloodsport's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna be that one guy, only for them to get fucking hammered and shit. And they're all having a great time, and and then the Thinker comes, and they're like, oh shit, get ready, boys. And then Bloodsport pretends to be drunk and puts a gun at the back of in his back and stuff. And Peter Capaldi's character, I don't remember what he said, and then they're trying to get him out. But also, I forgot to mention, Harley actually obviously survived, but so the dictator actually has an infatuation with Harley because she's popular with the Court of Maltesian people, because of her anti-American, how she is. She doesn't. She's an anarchist towards the American government. So originally, this guy just wanted to marry her to get a good image with his people, but he actually ended up falling for her and shit. And Harley actually ended up liking him too. And so some shit happens. They actually have sex. Like, oh my god, they actually end up fucking. And it was so fucking awkward because there was a 10-year-old watch in the movie theater, and I was like, what the fuck? Why would you bring this kid in to see this movie? And they're like, fucking, man. They're just like, holy shit, they're breaking shit. It's like Deadpool 2016 types of like fucking, you know? And like, holy fuck. And so and then the guy starts ranting about his plans and shit about Project Jotunheim, about controlling children and killing children and stuff like that. And Harley was like, he has a gun out of nowhere and shoots the guy. And she says, I promised myself to shoot any boy I date that shows red flags, and killing children is a red flag, which is ironic because it's been hinted at. I mean, no, it's not been hinted at. It's been stated that this Harley had an involvement with Robin's death in the DCEU. So yeah, that's kind of an oversight, but that's not really. I don't know, but yeah. So she ends up shooting him after they fucked, like literally. After they finished fucking. She ends up shooting him when he says that shit, and it's a shame because she actually really did end up liking him. But yeah, the whole killing kids, a big no-no with Harley now, and so the soldiers start swarming in, and the second in command to the current dictator ends up coming in, and he starts taking over. He's like, oh, he was like a brother to me, but he was always a romantic. So he did care for him, but he realized that he was a romantic, and now he takes charge of Project Starfish and Jotunheim. And so the squad get the Tinkerer out, and the soldiers start swarming in to look for the fallen Americans, and Harley starts to get interrogated if there's any more Americans, which is weird considering Idris Elba is British and Bloodsport's British, but and also fucking Ratcatcher's Portuguese, I forgot to mention that. And Nanaue is Hawaiian. I guess you count that as American, but I mean, he's like half shark god, and I think he's also part ethnically Hawaiian, but yeah, so Bloodsport, Peacemaker, and Rick Flag end up getting captured by the soldiers while Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher end up sneaking in the back into the van and stuff with the Thinker. And so, uh, the Bloodsport and the other two are making small talk with some of the guards, and like, and then Bloodsport talks about the maneuver to kill people with a single blow, and then all three of them, Rick Flag, Peacemaker, and Bloodsport, they knocked the fuck out of, or I think they killed the guys. I'm not sure. Oh, it wasn't clear what they did. So they get him distracted while he's smoking a cigarette, and they knock out the guys, and then so fucking Peacemaker ends up punching a hole through the fucking wall, and starts like he ends up killing the driver, and he grabs the second guy and he's like bashing his head up the fucking roof of the car, and it's fucking great. And then they ram into a truck and run off into the and run off the highway. I mean the freeway and shit. And the polka dot man and the rest end up going to investigate, and they come out of the cars like a bunch of badasses and shit. And then they find out Harley is actually alive, and then Rick Flag is like, we gotta go save Harley, and then Peacemaker's like, we're really gonna risk just like saving for this crazy ass maniac, and then Bloodsport's like, yes, and then Rick Flag's like, we don't leave one of our own behind, so Rick Flag has like goes through this crazy ass fucking plan of how to save Harley, only for Harley to end up breaking the neck out of one dude and shit that was torturing her, and then she basically guns her way out with two Berettas, and then later on when they run out of ammo, she picks up two M16A1s and starts gunning everyone down, and then she exits out the building, and she calls a cab. I mean, no, there's a cab there waiting for her. I mean, not waiting for her, but there's a cab outside, which is about to go out, and then she's thinking about where to go, and then she sees Rick Flag, Bloodsport, and anyone else, and then she gets out. I mean, assume she got out of the cab. It's not showing what she did, but so she's like, hey guys, and then they're like, what? And it's like, what are you guys doing? And it's like, we're here to rescue you. And it's like, oh, you're gonna rescue me? And it's like, yeah, we made this crazy exciting plan. It was really good and stuff. And it's like, I can go back inside and you can go do it. And then they don't end up doing it. And so they move on to the next thing, which is Project Jotunheim and stuff. And that's where we start to find out some of the dark shit. And I'll get to that when we get there. But holy fuck, though, I was not expecting what to happen, honestly. So they're all starting to gear up. They all got their costumes and shit, except for Harley, still in her blouse. But Polka Dot Man's back in his costume. Ratcat is back in her costume. Peacemaker back in the costume. Bloodsport back in the costume. Which, by the way, I really like that. I really like his design. That's why I bought it in Fortnite. And say what you want about Fortnite, but hey man, at least they do cool crossovers and shit. But whatever. That's off topic. So they start to infiltrate it with the thinker, who is driving the minivan, and surprisingly he gets in, like in the minivan with no suspicion or anything, and so something I don't remember, but something ends up blowing the cover. Oh wait, no. Nothing ends up blowing up the cover. They actually purposely do it. So it's raining very heavily, and so the squad get out of the van, and then they to the main entrance of Jotunheim, and the soldiers can't see because it's fucking raining. Rick Flag has got a shotgun, pops a motherfucker's arm off and shit, and then the soldiers trying to get gunned the fuck down. Polka Dot Man like incinerates some of them with his polka dots, which I forgot to mention. Polka Dot Man is actually possibly the most powerful member on the squad. No joke. He's possibly even more dangerous than King Shark. Not because of the way he acts, but his power. Very dangerous. The polka dots are really fucking lethal. They literally burnt I forgot to mention earlier they actually burnt a hole through one of the resistance fighters' chest earlier. But so yeah, Polka Dot Man was honestly such a delightful surprise in this movie, and so Polka Dot Man burns a couple motherfuckers. Bloodsport does a thing. Fuck, I'm dead. But Peacemaker just is being a badass. Harley, I forgot to mention, Harley actually ended up picking up the javelin from the Javelin character earlier. Forgot to mention that, and actually does use it as a weapon. And she actually did get a few kills with it. She even slit a guy's throat, stabbed the motherfucker, and it was actually very helpful. But and Nanaue actually didn't really do much, to be honest. I mean, but so they infiltrate Jotunheim. They're all soldiers are starting to swarm from the capital and shit, the Capitol building, and the resistance fighters notice that's their cue, because all the generals are left unguarded, and the guy that took over president earlier is at Jotunheim, and so the resistance fighters infiltrate the capital, and then they offer the generals to surrender, but the generals are like fuck no, and then they're about to one's about to pull out a gun, and then so the resistance fighters gun them the fuck all the generals down and shit in front of the secretary, who had like poor secretary. I was kind of traumatized after that, but yeah. So the Suicide Squad is planting plastic bombs all over the Jotunheim building to destroy it, and the King Shark actually tries to shape his fucking his plastic bomb like Peacemaker. It was such a cute little scene, and Peacemaker was like, "It looks nothing like me," but he still said it looks very nice though, and so they split into two teams. It's Harley, Peacemaker, King Shark, and Polka Dot Man, and it's Ratcatcher, Thinker, and Rick Flag together, and so they go down there, and then they see all these people with Starro on their face, and that scene was like, I was like, oh, I expected it, but I just didn't expect it to be at this magnitude, or at least not this early, and so it turns out that the entire government of the country has been for the past few years, I mean the past few decades, has been experimenting on all their political rivals or journalists or anybody that said anything bad about them. And it wasn't even the current dictatorship that started. It was actually the previous, like, the royal family, the imperial family and shit that was been doing this. But the dictator just carried on from that, and it was like a kind of an urban legend that there's a beast that roam in Jotunheim, which actually turns out to be true because it's a giant fucking Starro. And so Ratcatcher is horrified to see what is being done there, because some of the test subjects is a pregnant woman. Another guy is ripped in half, but he's still alive because the Starro thing, and another one's just an innocent journalist. And there's even children there that have the Starro control fish. And what's creepy is that's an entire hive mind and stuff, and they're all speaking out. The Starro is speaking out because it's been tortured by the government. And the thing we find out, it was actually the American government, the Thinker reveals, that authorized this shit. The reason why the government sent them to the island is because they wanted to cover up their dirty tracks, because now knowing that, because the previous family was aligned with the United States, but the current regime was extremely anti-American, and the United States feared that their involvement with Project Starfish would have gotten exposed. That was what Amanda Waller wanted, why she wanted Jotunheim to be destroyed. That's why. It's not because she cared or anything, or that they possessed a threat. It's because she was afraid that they would expose the United States government. And it's crazy because it wasn't actually a Nazi project, Project Starfish. Starro was founded by American astronauts and stuff that experimented on him, and he was being tortured for over 30 years by the American government. But the reason why they didn't do it in the United States is for obvious reasons. You don't want to be doing that shit in the United States. And so the Corto Maltesian government allowed them to do that in exchange for their for the support of the imperial family there and shit. And it was only until recently they got overthrown and hanged by the current regime. And oh my god, it's like Starro has been tortured, and he's asking for help and shit, and everyone's just horrified, because especially Rick Flag, because he's like, I didn't sign up to be my country's puppet, and he wants to expose the United States government for their part in Project Starfish, and Ratcatcher's just horrified because she's never seen shit like this, and So, but this is the big plot twist that happens. So John Cena's Peacemaker shows up, and and, and I was not expecting this. So it turns out Amanda Waller gave him a secret mission to destroy the drive if anyone else found out. If so, she tasked him to get the drive and shit. And Rick Flag is like, no, we need to tell the American people. And then he's like, no, I can't let you do that. That will cause panic and stuff, and nothing disturbs my peace or some shit like that. And so they get into a fight, and it is intense. Honestly, like, and so they're fighting because you can hear the emotion that Rick Flag has. Like, he feels upset that he was a puppet to Waller, that he almost destroyed this shit, that exposed the absolute evilness of the United States government was, because they were experimenting on people and shit and all that. And it was just oh my god, it was such a good character moment for Rick Flag. And so they're fighting. Peacemaker looks like he's getting the upper hand at first, but then Rick starts to get the flag. Not the flag. He starts to get the upper hand and shit. And so Rick Flag is about to end up choking Peacemaker, but Peacemaker ends up getting a piece of sharp towel and piercing Rick Flag's heart. And I'm like, at that moment I was like, what the fuck? They killed Rick Flag? I was like, no way, you did not kill Rick Flag, because like the trilogy, the quads that don't die in the Suicide Squad comics permanently are Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Harley, and Rick Flag. They're the consistent ones. They're usually the most popular in the squad. Like, they're the most consistent ones. And I was just not expecting him to die. I was like, what the fuck? And so but granted, he didn't want to do it because he does consider Rick Flag a hero. But oh damn. And so Cleo actually ends up witnessing the thing because they thought she fled, but she actually was there. And then she sees the drive. She grabs the drive, she runs, and Peacemaker is after her. And the building's starting to crumble down because the explosions went off. And so we cut back to Harley's team. Polka Dot Man, Bloodsport, and Harley and Milton are on the top of the building while it's blowing up. And soldiers end up killing Milton and shit. Polka Dot Man ends up actually it was Bloodsport that ends up killing the soldiers that killed Milton and shit. And then he's like, no, they got Milton. And her's like, who's Milton? And then it's like, and Polka Dot Man thinking, like, nobody else noticed that Milton was with them the entire time. And he's like, Polka Dot's like, he was helping us. He was very nice. And that's why I love Polka Dot Man in the movie. And so yeah, he died and stuff. And there's some stuff that they dropped in the bag. I think there's more explosions. More soldiers show up. And Polka Dot Man actually ends up accidentally igniting the explosives. Accidentally igniting the explosion with Polka Dots because they're incendiary. And the entire building starts to go down and shit. And then ends up blowing up this water with King Shark subplot. He met like these weird alien things that are actually carnivorous and started biting him as soon as the glass started breaking open and stuff. And so the building's going down. They're about to fall off. Bloodsport nearly falls to his death. Is getting shot at by the millions of soldiers below. And then the building's starting to crumble down and shit. And Starro is starting to break free. And so Polka Dot Man, Harley and Bloodsport all have to make a leap of faith, and thankfully they all survive. Thankfully, and so they end up. Polka Dot Man and Harley made the jump, but so Bloodsport ended up falling because the ground, the floor beneath them started falling, and so Peacemaker actually caught up to Ratcatcher and has her at gunpoint. She's crying. It's like, why do you have to kill me? You could just destroy the drive and stuff. And so Bloodsport actually ends up intervening just in time because he's collapsed to a building onto the floor they were on. And then they have the showdown. But Peacemaker points his gun at Bloodsport, and Bloodsport pulls out this tiny pistol. And what appears to be 45 ACP and a 45 ACP hollow point. Peacemaker fires, but Idris Elba has a smaller bullet. I mean, Bloodsport has a smaller bullet, and it ends up. It's a callback to the earlier line with Jon Snow. I use smaller bullets, and so Bloodsport ends up like drilling through Peacemaker's bullet, and he got him in the throat, killing Peacemaker. And so they grab the drive, and Starro starts going on a rampage, and all the soldiers start shooting at him, and he starts to control all of them. And the reason why the squad didn't get any control on is because Ratcatcher tells them to cover their face, which actually ended up working. And honestly, this was the part where I was extremely scared about, because I was fearing that Polka Dot Man was going to be caught by Starro, because it's not like how it is in other continuity. If you get Starro on you, you die. You are no longer an individual. You become a corpse, a vessel purely for Starro. Because if you remove the starfish, the host is no longer alive. The host is dead, because it slowly eats at your consciousness. So whatever was you is no longer there as soon as you get that thing on you. And so Starro then proceeds to control everyone. And the squad is like, Starro for some reason just like leaves the squad alone, saying this city is mine. And Amanda Waller's like, you destroyed Jotunheim, let's get out now. And the squad is like, no, we can't leave that. And then Bloodsport takes a step. He's like, let's go, let's fucking go, boys. And everyone's following him. And then Polka Dot Man's like, yeah, Polka Dot Man seems happy because it was fucked up. I forgot to mention about his origin. So his new origin is his mom was actually a scientist for Star Labs who had a couple of children, which were his siblings, and experimented on them because she was obsessed with superheroes, and she was hoping she would turn one of them into a superhero. And some of them survived, but others of them died. And Polka Dot Man is actually infected with an interdimensional virus, which if he does not expel the dots twice a day, they will eat him from inside. And that, it's tragic, honestly. And so Polka Dot Man's kind of a tragic character because he does hope he dies on the mission. I forgot to mention that he is suicidal to an extent, and he is very crazy because he sees everyone as his mom. He has a burning hatred for his mom because he doesn't normally like killing people, but it becomes easier when he imagines those people as his mom. So it's likely to say that Polka Dot Man possibly killed his mother, but so the squad all follow Bloodsport, and because like he's had a change of heart, and they all follow him because like the whole plot point is him becoming a leader, because Amanda Waller said I'll make you one or some shit like that, and so Bloodsport ends up taking a stand, and the squad were like, fuck yeah, let's go. Well, they're like ride or die with him and shit, and they all go to Starro and shit, and I start attacking Starro, and the thing is though, Starro is starting to control even civilians and shit, and so the squad is heavily outnumbered, and so they're like completely fucked, honestly. It was like, how do you do that shit? And eventually Bloodsport rallies everyone. He tells Harley to get the high ground to pierce Starro's eye. He tells Nanaue that to eat Starro, and then the funniest scene in the movie, I think, he's like, he calls Polka Dot Man by his real name, Abner, and he's like, Abner, you know who that is? And he's like, what? Dad, it's your mom! And then he ends up burning Polka Dot Man ends up burning one of Starro's legs off out of anger. He's like, I'm a superhero! And it's such a great scene, only for him to be crushed by Starro, which is so fucking painful to see. Because I really was hoping he would make it. I wish he would have made it. And so, but there's also another cool scene where Idris Elba's character, Bloodsport, gets all his guns, combines them into one, and to make this most stupid comic book like gun ever, where it has like a spinning barrel at the end, and it's so fucking stupid. It looks so fucking stupid, but I love it. and it ends up pissing off Starro. Oh, I forgot to mention it happened before. It happened before Polka Dot Man died. Uh, so Harley ends up piercing through Starro's eyes, and Ratcatcher ends up calling a bunch of rats to infiltrate Starro, and they all go into his eye from the entrance Harley made, and they start eating Starro, and they instantly actually end up getting into his brain and eat that shit, and Starro dies. He's like, I was happy when I was roaming the stars and shit. And so Starro dies. Oh, I forgot to mention, Amanda Waller was actually gonna kill everyone when Bloodsport disobeyed her and wanted to go help people, and she was about to blow their fucking heads, but then her staff actually ended up knocking her the fuck out, and that was such an unexpected moment. And so Starro is dying. I mean, Starro died, and all the remaining squad members are what we think is Bloodsport, Ratcatcher, and Harley, who emerges out of Starro's eyes. And then we find out King Shark didn't actually die because he was actually swiped from Starro. So yeah, those four survived, and I was really upset to see Polka Dot Man die at the very end because he was so close to surviving. And yeah, that really upset me seeing Polka Dot Man die. But yeah, honestly, the movie was so much fun. Honestly, the movie was, oh my god, I don't know where to like. I loved the costumes, like I've already said, and Polka Dot Man was so great on this. Like, I did not expect to like Polka Dot Man as much as I did. Honestly, I really enjoyed Polka Dot Man's character, and I really wish he had not died. And I really loved how it just embraced the insaneness of the comic books, like with Bloodsport's like combining gun to make one bigger gun, only for it to have the most stupid looking design. King Shark, like his original origin of him being a descendant of a shark god, and also this fucking, just, oh my god, just the fact that like the jokes were funny. I love the jokes, like, and just I really loved how you actually saw the team bond. The team actually did somewhat bond, like especially in the club scene where they were trying to ambush the Thinker. It was such a great scene because it made them feel like people, because they all knew like they probably weren't gonna get out of this alive, but they were just all partying, and it was such a good thing. And there was also a nice discussion, which I forgot to mention, between Ratcatcher and Bloodsport, saying that because like Ratcatcher had a very tragic past, that her dad was gifted, but he had a drug problem, and he had a hard time finding employment, so they were homeless. But the rats would bring them trinkets and stuff so that they could live off, which is why Ratcatcher has such a close connection with the rats and stuff. And first, it's funny because Bloodsport has a fear of rats because his dad actually, every time he fucked up, he locked him in a crate filled with starving rats. That was his punishment if Bloodsport failed, which is goddamn extreme. But they kind of had like this little real friendship going on, where it was kind of like a father-son like thing, because they both promised each other that they're gonna get each other out and stuff, and it was a heartwarming scene, because you can see Ratcatcher's like, man, she really doesn't deserve to be in Bell Rev. Like, all she does is steal shit. Like, yeah. And also, you did get. It was cool to hear that this version of Bloodsport actually did put Superman in the ICU. But yeah, I just really love the dynamic, and also like the whole part where like Nanaue started to like feel like he had friends and stuff was a cute part, because like when Cleo, who aka Ratcatcher, found out that he was alive, she was happy to see him, and actually fucking hugged him and stuff. And honestly, this movie was such a huge improvement from the previous Suicide Squad, because they actually felt like characters. Like, they actually got to know each other, and it was so great. But yeah, it was just amazing, honestly. And it's such a fun time, especially since it's rated R. They just go all out. None of this PG-13 bullshit. None of this Disney play it safe. They just go all out, just like how a comic should be. Because comics are bloody, all right? they're fucking bloody. And that's the thing we've been just kind of we just don't get in most Marvel material. And at least in the MCU and shit. And just, oh man, dude, this movie was such a joy to watch. And the post-credit scene, it turns out the Weasel is actually alive, which like, you gotta be kidding me. He survives, but not Polka Dot Man. I hated that. I mean, other people probably like it, but I hated that. And then, so there's another post-credit scene, and it's a hospital, and says this person is resilient. And since we didn't actually see Polka Dot Man's body, I was hoping to God that he survived, only to find out it's fucking Peacemaker to survive. I mean, I don't hate Peacemaker, but I would have loved it was Polka Dot Man to survive. That broke my heart when he died. I really was sad that he died. Polka Dot Man was honestly I really wish he survived, and I did not think I would enjoy him as much as I did, and man, why did they have to kill him? Another thing I will say with the remaining time is I don't like how many characters they wasted and killed. I don't like how they killed Mongal, because Mongal is way more powerful than she was shown in the movie. Fire should not have killed her that easily. She can go. She's the daughter of Mongol Supreme, I think his name is. I don't know. There's two Mongols, Mongol Junior, and then there's Mongol. She's the sister of Mongol Junior, I think. And so she can actually go toe-to-toe with Superman and stuff. And the fact that she died so easily was so disappointing. Because she should have been one of the heavy hitters of the squad. And I was really hoping that she would have stuck around longer. And Captain Boomerang, I don't really care much for his character. But I don't know why you would kill him. He's one of the mainstays of the squad. I think they just did that. Just be like, haha, we'll kill anybody, even the main characters. And it's just like, I don't know, that's just one thing I don't like of the movie, it's just how many people they just killed just for the sake of subverting expectations, even though I was pleasantly subverted, but still, I don't like how many characters they killed. It just feels like wasted opportunity, and I don't know. Still don't know how I feel about it, but other than that, I had a blast with the Suicide Squad, and I recommend any comic book fan, or anyone that just wants a good time to watch the Suicide Squad. But be warned, it's extremely bloody, it's gory, but it is so much fucking fun. It is such a joy, and I can't wait to see what James Gunn has planned, what they have planned for James Gunn for the future of the DC. Because if another Suicide Squad gets lit, I am down for it. I just hope they just won't waste as many characters, and I hope they actually do Deadshot the justice he deserves. Because I forgot to mention, Idris Elba, Bloodsport ends up blackmailing Amanda Waller for their freedom, threatening to release the drive if he dies. There's also a subplot with his daughter and stuff, about her stealing some stuff, and Amanda Waller actually blackmailed Bloodsport to join the squad like that. So yeah, Amanda Waller is willing to do anything to get the job done, no matter what, if it means threatening kids. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie. That's all I can say. I applaud you to please watch it. Show WB that we need to allow directors to have creative freedom, not to meddle with the movies. Look what they did to fucking Batman v Superman. Look what they did with Justice League. Look what they did with Suicide Squad. Imagine if they had not meddled with that shit, that we could probably have been caught up with Marvel right now and just have just a great DCEU right now. Imagine that shit. Had they not fucking stepped in. Imagine that. And that's what pisses me off so much. Had we gotten these movies earlier, people wouldn't be looking at DC like a joke now that they do, like how they do. So please, support the Suicide Squad. It is, like, go watch it. It's good. It's really good. Honestly. And I just can't wait to see what James Gunn has planned next, or DC in general. I'm looking forward to Robert Pattinson's The Batman, and I'm looking forward to any other future films in the DCEU, and I just hope they're really good. Please, WB, get your shit straight for the sake of your fans. Come on, we want our DCEU. So please, make more kick-ass films like this. Okay, but yeah, we're coming to a close soon. But yeah, just honestly, I really like the movie, and I'm going to go see it a second time with my friends this time, and yeah, just please support this movie. I honestly please encourage you. I just can't shut up about it. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the Suicide Squad and my spoiler review of it somewhat, as unprofessional as it was. and how unscripted. But yeah, this is my first one, and I will try to do one better next time. But